Hello. For my part on this panel, I'm going to speak about cellular applications and equipment for electric utilities. I find it fascinating that this industry contains both the slowest advancing technology and the fastest advancing technology. Not much has changed on transmission and distribution systems, but with communication systems, we are rapidly approaching a point where a typical system life cycle could be less than 5 years. Because of new requirements for grid efficiencies and renewables, communication systems have to, by necessity, be flexible, secure, cost-effective, and to be able to be rapidly deployed. My name is Keith McKechnie, and I'm a solutions engineer with USAT. I've been hanging around wired and wireless communication systems for a couple of decades now. Who is USAT? We are a 20-year-old solutions provider and a value-added distributor focusing on cellular wireless-based Internet of Things. We have top-tier providers of cellular routers and antennas that deliver best-in-class connectivity. We're a key provider of mission-critical connectivity to public safety, oil and gas, utilities, as well as the retail space. We also provide engineering, technical support, and provisioning services. About 25% of our sales are to utilities, and about 25% of our utility customers are electric cooperatives and municipalities. The use cases that we typically deal with in the electric utility space are broken down into two categories: fixed asset monitoring and control, SCADA systems, mostly on the distribution side, and mobility, which is your fleet vehicle communication and management. On the distribution automation side, cellular equipment is used with reclosers and sectionalizers. In this example, here is a Sierra Wireless cellular router with a mobile mark MIMO antenna on a ground plane, all running on a Verizon Wireless private network with a secure line of service to the utility's SCADA operations center. A few additional applications using cellular equipment: capacitor bank controllers, substation fault detection and security cameras, transmission line switch monitoring, and volt-var optimization. We interface nicely with the SCL 651 recloser controller, for instance, but really anything that uses an Ethernet, serial, or USB port as its means for communication will work fine with cellular routers. Other manufacturers' equipment we interface today are Eaton Cooper, ABB, General Electric, and Beckwith Electric. Cellular equipment is used in alternative generation, such as solar monitoring, as well as industrial metering and aggregators. One application we do with a large utility involves reading a pair of legacy meters at multiple sites that only communicate via RS-232. One of our cellular routers, shown here, comes with a second serial port and is used for this application. On the mobility side, it is the connected fleet vehicle. Essentially, each vehicle has its own vehicle area network. In this example from Sierra Wireless, you have a high-end vehicle router with a high uptime connectivity due to having the ability to use multiple WAN interfaces. It has multiple cellular radios and the ability to use Wi-Fi as WAN when it pulls into a depot. With onboard Ethernet and Wi-Fi, you then have the connectivity to tablets, laptops, and cameras. With GNSS, you have accurate real-time location data that can be tied into a dispatch system. With I/O lines, you have the ability to connect sensors to gather information, additional intelligence, such as the boom position. Other capabilities available are a telemetry interface for engine diagnostics and vehicle status. Also, driver behavior and scorecard along with electronic logging is available. These are the typical cellular routers that we deal with that have been used in the electric utility space. Sierra Wireless is the major player in this space. Also used are Digi, CalAmp, Redline, and Cradlepoint. Each one has some unique features that make it best and the most cost-effective fit for the application. The main areas to drill down on when selecting the best fit device are communication interfaces used, protocols that are needed, and certifications and specifications that are required. Key things you want to look for and find on a spec sheet are Class 1 Division 2, UL 60950, SAE J1455 if it's used in a vehicle, and you want to make sure it has all the carrier certifications that you need. For environmental, critical items are operating temperature, MIL standard 810G, and ingress protection, in this case IP64. From a functional standpoint, look for Ethernet speed and number of ports, serial port capabilities, especially when interfacing with legacy RTUs and controllers, USB and I/O support. From a network and routing standpoint, does it support what you need? What are its security capabilities? Does it have port filtering, for instance? I'll quickly scroll by some devices that are currently used. GX450 and RB50 are the current top favorites for new deployments. The MG90 is best for high-end mobility, and a number of RFPs are written with it in mind. Also on the mobility side is the IBR 1700 from Cradlepoint. It is a nice competitive solution that fits in between the two solutions from Sierra Wireless. Redline has devices with built-in RTU functionality that make it an effective choice in a couple of applications. Cellular antenna solutions are broken down into 4 basic quadrants: single antennas, MIMO antennas, omnidirectional, and directional. It is important to note that 4G LTE requires 2 antennas or a MIMO solution. This is especially true now that Verizon and others are moving from transmission mode 2 to transmission mode 4 on their systems. You used to be able to get away with 1 antenna with TM2, but no longer with TM4 being rolled out. Because you have no control on which LTE band your device operates on, the antenna solution must cover all the LTE frequency bands used in the US with reasonably equal gain. We have found a company called Pointing does this reasonably well, and they are now starting to be deployed large scale in the utility space. Cellular communication advantages. There are many, but we find that flexibility and rapid deployment are key. No need to pull permits to run costly fiber and take forever to do so. On the wireless side, Cellular is now winning out because you have a single secure platform you can rapidly deploy virtually anywhere nowadays with a common infrastructure. Finally, when deploying cellular communication systems into utility infrastructure, it is important to work with a good turnkey provider that can help you both in configuration and provisioning. Security is of course the #1 concern for these applications, and most of the user manuals for these devices are over 500 pages long, and so it is important that you are implementing all you can to ensure your device and system are secure. For device and system management, each of the main vendors in this space have management options that allow you on a single pane of glass to manage your device, update firmware, remote configuration, and have a complete history of the communication status, such as signal strength, signal to noise ratios, etc. Things that make troubleshooting to resolve issues more efficient. On the provisioning side, you have activation. Someone needs to work with your network operator, such as Verizon, to ensure the SIM card and device are lit up correctly with the expected network settings and functions. Loading of the settings on the device. The actual settings design can vary quite a bit from one application to another, and can even be unique to every single device that you deploy. Someone needs to load these settings onto each device and test each device and all the interfaces on the device, much like you would any formal quality control process, so that you have good confidence of a trouble-free experience before you release the product to the installation team. And finally, asset tagging. This is simply a label installed on the device with key provisioning information identifying it correctly for each stage of deployment and lifecycle management. Thank you. Please contact us and we'll be happy to answer any questions.